What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going over one of the cooler fish that we actually have here in North America. Unfortunately though, it's also one of the cooler invasive fish we have in North America. These things actually do a lot of damage, or at least they have the potential to do a lot of damage, and they have already established footholds. But we're talking about snakeheads. Snakeheads are a really cool fish. They made horror stories about them. They get their name because their head looks like a snake, essentially. Um, there's a lot of like rumors about them, how they can like walk across land, how they are air breathing fish, which is always really cool to go over. So yeah, without further ado though, guys, real quick, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on that notification bell, follow me on all of my social medias, which will be at the end of the video, and drop a comment down below with anything you guys would like for me to cover in the future, anything you guys think is cool, as well as what you guys think about the article, and have you guys ever caught snakeheads? So without further ado, though, guys, this is your snakeheads in North America. So, like I always like to say, guys, I don't own the rights to this article. This article is owned by SoapyBox.com. If you guys would like, please go over there and show them some love. But if you guys don't want to, just stick around and we'll go over all this together. Giant snakehead fish, U.S. invasive species article, and this is a snakehead. This is the giant snakehead, and these things get big. I don't know if you guys have ever watched River Monsters, but if you did, he catches one of these. He actually spears one. Are snakeheads a dangerous invasive fish? Are snakeheads a dangerous and invasive species in the USA? Invasive species, whether they are animals, fish, or plants, are causing a huge problem around the world. An invasive species can cause huge disruption to fragile local ecosystems as they often have no natural predators in their new habitat, take over territory and food sources required by indigenous animals for survival, and sometimes even destroy terrain. The discovery of a new invasive species in an area for the first time is always a cause for concern. However, sometimes media reactions to such discoveries can throw people into a frenzy and panic by totally overhyping the possible dangers of their presence to the local population and environment. Fun fact about snakeheads, they actually made a movie about these things. It's called Frankenfish. Um, and yeah, they made them out to be fairly horrendous. And I've never watched the movie, but I know they don't look good in the movie. One such invasive species is the snakehead fish in the United States. They have been dubbed Frankenfish or fish from hell, and there are already many urban myths circulating about these introduced fish. It is said that they will ferociously kill and eat anything they come across, that they can survive for up to 4 days out of water, that they can travel great distances across dry land to infest new bodies of water, that they have a poisonous bite, and that they can be aggressive towards humans and have even killed them. I don't know if there's any actual truth to snakeheads killing humans. Um, I don't know. We can probably look that up if you guys want, but to be honest with you, I don't think there is. About snakehead fish. So what is the truth about snakehead fish? They are freshwater fish and are indigenous to parts of Asia and Africa. There are 28 known different types, and they can vary tremendously in size and color. They are apex ambush predators and feed on other fish species, crustaceans, small amphibians, and occasionally birds and small mammals. They can grow to a great size, and there have been records of snakeheads being 4 feet long and weighing more than 15 pounds. And that is the giant snakehead. So imagine like a predatory fish, well, the same size as a catfish, which all catfish are predatory for the most part, so that's kind of rough. But yeah, basically imagine like just a 4 foot long, like not gar, if that makes sense. Like I guess they kind of could feel like a similar niche, but I mean, who knows? Like, I'm not a real scientist. This is one of those things. They have long cigar-shaped bodies, large mouths with protruding lower jaw, and sharp teeth, and long dorsal and anal fins. Snakeheads start off life ranging in color from pale gray to golden brown and dark as they mature, to dark brown with black spots. Their preferred habitat is freshwater streams, ponds, ditches, and swamps. All snakehead fish are air breathers, and they have a high tolerance for water with low oxygen levels. They guard their young and can become very aggressive towards anything that they perceive as a threat to their offspring. They have acquired their name from the enlarged snake-like scales they have on their heads. Snakeheads sometimes get confused with the native North American bowfin when they are caught by anglers, as they can look very similar. So they probably fill a similar niche to bowheads, or bowfins. have snakehead fish established themselves in the USA. Snakehead fish are considered to be an important food fish in Asia and are imported live into America for the Asian food markets in Boston and New York City. They are also popular aquarium fish and are valued for their aggressive natures and toughness. It is thought that the snakeheads that have been found in the U.S. waterways have either been pets that have been released by their owners or have been released from live food markets in the hope that a growing local population will become a good food source. Yeah, so basically, people be people, man. People will get these things in a tank, and they're really easy to take care of when they're this big. But then all of a sudden, you got a snakehead that's this big, or this big, and you can't keep up with feeding them. So people are just like, man, it's a fish. What do you do with the fish? You just let it go in a pond. Problem is snakeheads aren't from here. So that appetite doesn't go away. It's just going to eat everything that's in the pond that it can fit in its mouth, and some things that aren't in the pond that it can fit in its mouth. Um, and then, like, releasing a fish into a stream that will cause just releasing a fish into a stream for the sole purpose of hoping that it starts breeding, so you don't have to import it anymore. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but in reality, it's just a horrible thing to do for the environment because you're just going to wreck other local populations of things. So I mean, yeah, like I always like to say, some like people be people, and we're just gonna do what we do. So yeah, but they're here now, so it's hard to eradicate an invasive species. The most likely reason that aquarium keepers would have released their snakeheads is that they can no longer afford to feed them, as they are voracious feeders and can consume a great number of prey fish a day. This caused widespread panic and made the national headlines. Local anglers were asked to kill any of these invasive fish that they caught. In October 2002, they were added to the list of injurious species by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which prevented the transporting of snakeheads between states and banned the importation of all 28 species into America. So basically, they just made it where you can't import them anymore. So any fish that you get here have to be locally grown, which kind of throws a wrench in the whole not letting them loose into streams things, because people aren't, there's going to be breeders out there, and that's fine because breeders have to follow certain regulations. But when you get tired of buying them from breeders, because now the breeders are going to up their price because they can't import any new thing either. So they're stuck with what they got, and they got to basically, get a profit off of what they got. So it's almost like a never-ending cycle. It is illegal to possess snakehead fish in 13 states, but not in Maryland, the District of Columbia, and Virginia. It is, however, an offense to release foreign species of fish into Maryland's waterways. Live snakeheads have been confiscated in many of the states where possession of these fish has been banned. And to exacerbate the problem further, live specimens are readily available to buy over the internet. So you can just buy a dangerous fish online. That's basically what that means. Well, I mean, you can buy just about anything online, so that doesn't really surprise me, but it kind of is what it is. Even the center of New York is not safe from invasion by northern snakeheads. U.S. conservation workers believe that the invasive species they call the frankenfish can now be found in the lakes of Central Park. Signs have been placed around Harlem Mirror in the northern of the park and warn anglers that if they catch one of these fish, they should not return it into the water, but rather hand them over to the officials. Yeah, so that's just to get rid of the fish. They probably just consider them trash fish, and they'll just kill them. I mean, there's not much you can do. Maybe humanely, I mean, obviously humanely kill them. Maybe give their meat to someone who's actually going to eat it. But Harlem Mirror is due to be surveyed by the Department of Environmental Conservation to see if any snakehead fish are in fact living in the lake, and if so, how they or how many there are. There are worries that if the invasive fish are left to breed unchecked, they will destroy the ecosystem in the lakes, as they are voracious predators that feed on other fish species and amphibians. The threat of the spread of this fish is taken so seriously that New York prohibits the possession, sale, and transportation of this fish and its eggs. Finding individual live snakehead specimens in U.S. waterways is worrying, but the biggest concern is whether or not a breeding population has been established. Breeding populations have been discovered in Maryland, Florida, and California, and they seem to have permanently established themselves in the Potomac River since 2004. In Florida, bullseye snakeheads are breeding in an urban network of canals in the southeastern part of the state. Many worryingly, there have been live specimens of giant snakeheads caught from Maine down to Arkansas. Giant snakeheads are the largest of these predatory fish, and they have been known to act aggressively towards humans and even wound them. A breeding population of giant snakeheads has not yet been found, and hopefully there never will be. Yeah, because then you have 4 foot long giant things eating things instead of just like the little ones. Why are snakeheads such a threat to U.S. ecosystems? I feel like I've covered this fairly well in this video. They are voracious apex predators that are potentially capable of decimating the local fish populations, and they also have no natural predators in the U.S. At all stages of their life, they compete with the native fish for food. When they are juveniles, they consume zooplankton, small crustaceans, insect larvae, and the young of other fish. As adults, 90% of their large appetites are satisfied by eating other fish species, with the remaining 10% consisting of crustaceans, frogs, small reptiles, and sometimes even birds and small mammals. They also carry a disease called epizootic ulcerative syndrome, and scientists are desperately working to determine whether or not invasive snakeheads can pass this disease onto indigenous fish. It contains bodies of water such as ponds. Work has been done to eradicate populations of these invasive fish. When they are discovered, a chemical called rotenone has been used to kill the snakeheads, but unfortunately it will also kill any other fish present in the water. Yeah, so your options are either catch them all out, which is crazy, or um, basically kill everything in the pond to get rid of them. And that's in itself, I think, is kind of sad because it's like, what else are you gonna do at that point? You know, if you can't, like, you're probably not gonna be able to catch them all. I guess if it's a small enough pond, maybe. But if you, the alternative is just killing everything in there and then having to restock it. So it's like, it's almost not worth taking them out. It's such a weird backwards concept to me, like how it all is going to work. Like they just shouldn't be here in the first place, and it sucks that they are, but now they are, and you can't just deal with them because we have our own native stuff that'll get destroyed. But the alternative way of getting rid of them is to kill all the native stuff. So I don't know. It is accepted, however reluctantly, that once a population has established itself in a network of fresh waterways, it is almost impossible to get rid of them. As a female snakehead can produce up to 100,000 young in a year, very large populations of the fish can establish themselves very quickly, potentially causing permanent damage to American aquatic ecosystems. So that's 100,000 a year. So they're in there for 3 years, to 300,000 fish potentially, and that's obviously some are going to get eaten out as young, but like that is just nuts to me. Small snakeheads are perhaps not the devilfish portrayed by hysterical media as an invasive aquatic species. They have the potential to cause great damage to fragile ecosystems in the U.S. They can outcompete and consume the local fish. If you keep them in your aquarium, you need to be aware that it is both illegal and totally irresponsible to release them into local ponds or rivers. When you wish to get rid of them for some reason, indeed, we all need to become more aware of the dangers of invasive exotic species in our native ecosystems and ensure that we do not release any foreign fish, animal, or plant into our local areas. Want to report any unusual or exotic species that we do see or catch to the appropriate authorities. Yeah, so basically, if you're keeping them in your tanks, just if you have to get rid of them, rehome them. I'm not saying just get rid of them or kill them, although that might end up happening. But like if you can't take care of them anymore, find somebody that can. Don't just let them go and just walk away. That is a horrible thing to do, and that's how we have half of the problems with invasives that we have now. The pythons in Florida, um, the freaking lionfish not in like oceans where they're not supposed to be. Freaking South American catfish swimming around Florida. Pacu in Florida. Like there's just tons of them, and it's mostly pets that have just been let go that just establish breeding populations, and there's nothing to stop them. Anyway, though, guys, so that is pretty much just a little history and a little facts about snakeheads in America. So let me know what you guys think about them in this whole situation. Let me know if you guys have ever caught one. That would be really cool. I've personally never even seen one in the wild. I've been in places where they are, and I've never caught one and never actually seen one. So it'd be really cool to know like any stories from you guys. But yeah, like I said previously though, please go ahead, like, subscribe, notification bell, drop these comments down below, and follow me on my social medias, which are coming up next. And I will see you guys in the next video.